The night was silent, too silent. Ethan gripped his rifle tighter as he moved through the ruins of the alien battlefield. The sky above was broken with fire-distant flashes of ships still fighting in orbit. The ground shook now and then. As if the planet itself hated this war, he was alone. His squad had been scattered hours ago. No signal, no backup. Just him and the echo of his boots against the cracked stone. Ethan whispered to himself, "Keep moving, keep breathing." But even his own voice sounded small in the emptiness. That's when he heard it. A sound, not human. A metallic hiss like armor shifting. He froze, his breath caught. Slowly, carefully he turned. Out of the shadows, a tall figure stepped forward. Not a soldier. Not a human. An alien. Her armor gleamed silver under the shattered moonlight. The design was elegant, curved like art rather than built for war. She moved with grace, not aggression. But Ethan still raised his weapon. His finger hovered on the trigger. The figure stopped a few meters away. For a long moment, they stared at each other in the broken silence, and then she lifted her hands to her helmet. Ethan's pulse raced. No way. With a slow, deliberate motion, the alien removed her helmet. The hiss of pressurized seals echoed softly in the air. The helmet lowered. Her face was revealed. Ethan's eyes widened. His chest tightened. He had faced monsters, claws, fangs, burning eyes. But this was not that. She was beautiful. Her skin shimmered faintly with a glow, like moonlight kissed her every curve. Her eyes were large, luminous, holding both strength and sadness. Strands of pale silver hair fell loose around her face, catching the faint light as if woven from starlight itself. Ethan whispered, barely audible even to himself, "Gorgeous." The alien princess tilted her head, her expression calm, almost curious. No rage, no hatred, just something else. She spoke. Her voice was low, soft, and carried an echo that felt like music. "You are not like the others." Ethan blinked. He had expected snarls, commands, maybe even death. But her words, they unsettled him even more than a threat would have. His weapon shook slightly in his hands. "Stay back, don't." She took one step closer, not threatening. "Not fast, just steady. I will not harm you." Her words sank into him, but still, how could he trust her? Humans and her kind were enemies. He had seen her people slaughter entire battalions. And yet, looking into her eyes, Ethan felt something strange. No enemy had ever looked at him like this. The princess slowly lowered her helmet, letting it drop with a soft thud on the broken ground. Her hands were open, empty. She showed him her face without fear, without armor. A sign of trust, or was it bait? Ethan's throat went dry. Why show me this?" he asked, almost against his will. She gazed at him, her voice barely above a whisper. "Because tonight, human, your life depends on me." The words cut through the cold air. Ethan's grip on his rifle loosened slightly. "What do you mean?" She glanced over her shoulder, eyes sharp, scanning the shadows. Then she turned back to him, her voice urgent now. "They are coming, my father's hunters. They will not spare you. But if you trust me, I can lead you out." Ethan's heart pounded louder than the distant rumble of war. A trap? Or salvation? He couldn't tell. The silence stretched between them, heavy and dangerous. Finally he lowered his rifle an inch. Not much, but enough to show he was listening. "You expect me to believe you?" Her lips curved into the faintest smile. "No, I expect you to survive." Suddenly, the ground trembled. Heavy footsteps echoed through the ruins, distant but closing fast. Alien voices carried in the night, loud, cruel, hungry. Ethan's instincts screamed, "Run!" But she was already moving. She turned, silver hair catching the faint light, and extended her hand toward him. "Come, if you want to live." Ethan stared at her hand. His chest felt tight. Every training, every order told him not to trust. But his gut told him this was different. His finger hovered on the trigger one last time. Before he finally lowered the weapon completely, he took a step. Then another dot, and then he reached for her hand. The moment their hands touched, the world seemed to shift. The shouts of approaching soldiers grew louder. The ground shook with their march. But in that moment, all Ethan felt was the warmth of her hand against his, a warmth he had not felt in years. And deep inside, a terrifying thought crept into his mind. What if this was not the start of his death, but the start of something far more dangerous? Asterisk, the ruin shook. Again, dust rained from broken walls. Ethan gritted his teeth as he followed the alien princess into the shadows. Her hand was still wrapped around his, warm and steady, guiding him through the crumbling passages. Behind them, the sound of armored boots grew louder. Dozens of voices, low, harsh, alien tongues that carried cruelty in every word. They were closing in fast. "Where are you taking me?" Ethan whispered. "Somewhere they cannot find you." Yet, her voice was calm, but her pace was urgent. The way her eyes flicked back, the way her steps never faltered, it was clear. She had done this before. Ethan tightened his grip on his weapon. His mind screamed at him to pull away, to run the other direction. Yet, something in the way she moved told him he'd never make it out alone. They reached a narrow passage, lit only by faint symbols glowing across the walls. Ancient carvings. Strange letters that seemed to shimmer as if alive. Ethan slowed, staring at them. "What is this place?" He muttered. The princess paused, just long enough for him to see her face in the pale light. "This is older than both our peoples. The bones of this planet remember what we have forgotten. Do not touch the marks. They will remember you." "Too." Her words sent a chill through his spine. He swallowed hard and forced his eyes away from the carvings. Another tremor shook the ground. Shouts echoed closer now. Ethan's instincts screamed fight. His finger brushed against his trigger. "I should hold them off. Buy time. You go." But before he could finish, she spun and pressed a hand against his chest. Her touch was firm, her eyes blazing with sudden fire. "No, if you fight, you die. If you run alone, you die. Listen to me, human, your only chance is to stay at my side." Ethan blinked. For the first time, he saw not just beauty, but authority in her eyes, the command of someone who had led before. Someone born to rule. "Who are you really?" he whispered. She hesitated. For a heartbeat, silence hung heavy between them. Then she leaned closer, her words low but sharp. "I am the daughter of the High Sovereign. To my people, I am heir to the throne. To you, I am the only shield you have left." Ethan's stomach tightened. Royalty, the alien princess, wasn't just a soldier, she was the very heart of his enemy's empire. The sound of pursuit thundered again. Torches flickered in the distance. Ethan's voice dropped to a growl. "Why save me then? Why not just let me die like the rest?" Her eyes softened only slightly. "Because I am not like the rest." Before he could answer, a roar cut through the tunnel. The hunters had found the passage. Their shadows stretched long across the glowing walls. The princess's grip on Ethan's hand tightened. "We must go, now." She pulled him into a narrow chamber. The air grew colder, heavy with silence. Symbols burned faintly across the walls, forming a circle around the floor. Ethan shivered. It felt wrong, like standing inside a memory too ancient to belong to the living. The princess turned to him. "They will follow us through every street, every ruin, every corner of this world. They will not stop until your blood runs cold. But if you stay with me, I can keep you alive." Ethan clenched his jaw. "Alive for what? To use me? To bargain with my people?" She stepped closer. Her silver hair brushed his shoulder. Her eyes met his, unflinching. "No, human. Alive. Because I believe you are not what they told us you are. Ethan's pulse hammered in his ears. For years, all he had known was war, hatred, orders, and yet here she stood, enemy, princess, stranger, offering him survival not out of cruelty, but out of something else. Trust. The hunter's roars grew louder, echoing down the tunnels. Ethan lifted his rifle, ready. If I follow you, how do I know I won't regret it? Her lips curved into a faint, mysterious smile. You don't. That is what makes it a choice. Before Ethan could answer, the wall behind her shook violently. Cracks split the stone. Alien voices poured into the chamber. The princess grabbed his arm. Her voice, sharp now, cut through the chaos. Decide, human. Stand with me. Or die. With them. Ethan's throat tightened. His training screamed don't trust. His instincts screamed survive. But deep in his chest, something else whispered, believe her. The wall burst open. Dark armored hunters surged through, weapons gleaming. In the faint light, Ethan raised his rifle. But instead of aiming at her, he stepped in front of her. The princess's eyes widened. For the first time, her calm cracked, surprise flashing across her face. The hunters snarled. The chamber filled with their shadows, and Ethan whispered to himself through clenched teeth, let's see if you're worth the risk. The chamber exploded with noise. Hunters poured through the broken wall, their armor jagged and black, eyes glowing with savage hunger. Their weapons sparked with deadly energy, filling the air with a sharp metallic buzz. Ethan gritted his teeth. He had faced death before, but never like this. The alien princess stepped beside him, her silver hair catching the faint glow of the ancient symbols. For the first time, Ethan saw her without hesitation. She looked calm. But her hands trembled. Just slightly, like she knew what was coming. Stay close, she whispered. The first hunter lunged. Ethan fired. The blast tore through the dark air, dropping the creature with a crack of light. But more followed, their growls vibrating the chamber walls. The princess raised her hand. A strange energy shimmered across her skin. The glowing symbols on the walls pulsed, responding to her touch. For a heartbeat, the chamber lit like a star. The hunters staggered back, shielding their faces from the light. Ethan stared. What the hell was that? She didn't answer. Instead, she grabbed his arm and pulled him toward a narrow tunnel on the other side of the chamber. Move! Before the glow fades, they ran. The ground shook under their feet, every step echoing. Louder. Ethan's lungs burned, his rifle heavy, but the princess never slowed. She ran like she knew every crack in the stone, every hidden path. The hunters roared behind them. Their boots thundered through the ruins, chasing them like shadows that refused to die. Ethan glanced back. Too many. We can't outrun all of them. The princess didn't turn. We don't need to outrun them, only to outlast them. Her words made no sense, but he kept running. He had no other choice. They burst into a wide hall, its ceiling broken open to the night sky. Stars burned through the cracks, pale and distant. Strange pillars stood on each side, carved with more of the glowing symbols. Ethan felt the air shift. Heavy and charged. The princess stopped suddenly. She placed her palm against one of the pillars. The carvings lit up, brighter this time, as if her touch awakened something sleeping beneath the stone. Ethan raised his rifle, breath sharp. You're playing with magic when we should be running. She looked back at him, her eyes glowing faintly in the strange light. This is older than magic, this is survival. Before Ethan could argue, the hunters spilled into the hall. There. Leader stepped forward, taller than the rest, his armor edged in crimson. His voice was sharp, echoing like thunder. Princess, you shame us with this weakness. Step aside. Give us the human, or share his death. The princess's jaw tightened. For the first time, her voice trembled, not with fear but fury. I will never give him to you. Ethan's chest tightened. He had no idea why she protected him. But in that moment, standing beside her, he felt something dangerous. Trust. The hunters charged. The princess pressed both hands against the pillar. The ground shook violently, cracks splitting through the floor. Light poured out of the carvings, flooding the hall with a blinding glow. Ethan stumbled back, shielding his eyes. The hunters screamed as the light cut through them, burning their armor, tearing their weapons apart. One by one, their bodies collapsed into the dust. When the glow finally faded, the hall was empty. Only silence remained. Ethan lowered his arm. Slowly, his ears rang, his chest heaved. He turned to the princess, his voice low and rough. "What the hell are you?" Her shoulders sagged, exhaustion showing for the first time. She looked at him, her expression soft but heavy with secrets. "I am the reason my people fear the dark, and now you are too." Before Ethan could reply, the pillar cracked apart completely. A deafening rumble filled the air as the ceiling above began to collapse. "Run!" she shouted. They sprinted toward the far end of the hall as stone rained down around them. Dust choked the air. The ground crumbled beneath their feet. Ethan grabbed her arm as she stumbled, pulling her forward. Together, they leapt through the last opening, just as the hall collapsed behind them, sealing the hunters' voices in the rubble forever. They fell hard on the other side, rolling onto rough ground. Ethan coughed, pushing himself up, his body aching. Beside him, the princess lay still, her silver hair spread across the dirt. "Hey!" Ethan crawled toward her, shaking her shoulder. "Stay with me." Her eyes fluttered open, weak but alive. She gave him a faint smile. "You saved me." Ethan blinked, stunned. He had risked himself without thinking. For her, an enemy princess. Before he could speak, a new sound rose in. The distance, not hunters. Not soldiers, something deeper. Older. A low rumble that vibrated in the earth itself. The princess's face went pale. She sat up slowly, her voice hushed with dread. "We woke it." Ethan stirred, the far-off rumble still pulsing beneath his skin. The collapse of the ruins had sealed their escape, but had also released something old, restless. The moonlight flickered through ruptured stones, laying silvered patterns across the princess's face. She lay there, moments from sleep or something else, her breaths shallow. He watched her for a quiet beat, the weight of what just happened sinking in him, a lone human, saved by an alien princess he barely knew. He swallowed hard. You risked everything for me." Her eyelids fluttered. A small, tired smile curved her lips. "You saved me too," she said, voice soft and exhausted. "If I'd stayed inside, the hunters would have caught me. I couldn't protect them again." Ethan closed the distance, settling beside her. The night chilled the air, but between them, a fragile warmth lingered. "I don't understand," Ethan whispered. "Why choose me? Why go against your counsel, your people, for me?" Silence stretched. Then she turned to him, eyes shadowed with regret and relief. "You have a spark, human. Something different. I've seen too much hate, too many battles. My people believe humans are tools, weapons, but you hesitate, you feel. You look at me not as enemy, but as someone. That scares me and draws me." Ethan's heart thudded. He knew she risked her life, and hers was powerful, a princess bound by duty and expectation. Yet in the ruins, she gave up everything to make sure he lived. She took a shaky breath, rubbing her arms as though the memory of cold still lingered. "There's more. Her voice cracked. She clenched her fists, silver hair splayed like starlight across the ground. "I'm supposed to carry my father's legacy. To lead his hunters, the council. They expect me to bring war, to rally the empire. But I cannot, not like this, not knowing that maybe there's another way." Ethan's chest tightened. Leader, warrior, yet here she was, a contradicting soul, torn between legacy and truth. Then say it, Ethan urged, gentle. What do you want? She met his gaze, eyes glistening in the half-light. I want peace. I want you as Stu. Stand for something different. To show both our worlds there's another path. The weight of her confession fell in the air like broken glass. For the first time, the war, the ruins, the hunters felt small. Ethan hesitated. His training told him to be wary, to analyze. But every instinct now whispered connection, something deeper. Before he could choose, the air trembled. A secondary tremor rattled bones and stone. The earth beneath them pulsed with threat, something stirring deeper, more ancient than hunters or war. The princess sat up, eyes wide, not fear, but awe. She reached out, trailing a hand across the shattered floor. The glow of ancient symbols pulsed, responding to her presence. What is that? Ethan asked, voice tight. It's older than the Empire, she answered, voice urgent. A power bound to this land. We triggered it when we collapsed the ruins. They warned of awakening it, said it would be the end of everything. Dust fell from above. The ground quaked again. They rose together, bodies instinctively synchronized, the confession forgotten in the face of imminent danger. She grabbed his hand. Stay with me, she said, fierce resolve returning. We fight this not as princess and human, but as us. Ethan nodded, breath steadying. I'm with you. Their eyes locked, the unspoken promise sealed. Whatever this ancient force was, they'd face it together. Behind them, the light of the old runes swelled as if echoing their bond. In those silent moments, the air thickened, not with the threat of war, but with possibility. The ground split open with a violent crack. Ethan stumbled, dragging the princess back as a surge of silver light burst from beneath the ruins. Dust choked the air, the tremor shaking every stone around them. From the rift, something massive stirred. A shape too ancient to name, half flesh, half stone, glowing veins carved into its body like molten rivers. Its roar tore the silence apart, shaking Ethan to his bones. The princess gripped his arm, her eyes wide with dread. We woke the sentinel, Ethan swallowed hard. That thing doesn't look friendly. The creature rose higher, its towering frame blotting out the broken sky. Its glowing eyes swept across the ruins before locking onto them. With one step, the earth caved in beneath its weight. The princess pulled Ethan behind a broken wall just as the sentinel's massive hands slammed down, crushing everything in its path. Stones shattered like glass. Why is it after us? Ethan demanded, breath ragged. Her voice trembled. The sentinels were bound to guard this world, against intruders. To it, you and I. We are both invaders. Ethan cursed under his breath. Perfect. So now I'm fighting your empire and a damn god. Another crash split the air as the creature struck again. Debris flew everywhere. The princess stumbled, and Ethan caught her, pulling her close against the falling dust. Their faces brushed for just a second too close, too real before another roar shook them apart. We can't outrun it, Ethan said. We fight or we die. The princess shook her head. Your weapons will not harm it. But together. Maybe we can, Ethan frowned. Together how? Her silver eyes locked on his. Bond with me, he blinked. Bond? She placed her hand over his chest, just above his heart. The glow of the symbols around them responded instantly, pulsing brighter. Our ancestors forged ties through spirit. Shared strength. If you trust me, if you let me in, the sentinel will see us not as two invaders, but as one force. Ethan's pulse hammered. Everything inside him screamed to resist, but the heat of her hand, the fire in her eyes. They broke through his doubt. The sentinel roared again, stepping closer. The ground quaked with every stride. Ethan clenched his jaw, then grabbed her. Hand tight, do it. The princess closed her eyes, whispering ancient words that rolled like thunder in the air. Energy surged between them, burning hot and wild. Ethan gasped as silver light spread across his skin, etching glowing patterns like the runes on the walls. His heartbeat synced with hers, every pulse echoing in unison. He staggered. What is this? Her voice echoed inside his mind now, clear as thought. Our bond. You feel me. As I feel you. The sentinel struck again, its massive fist smashing the earth where they stood. But Ethan didn't stumble this time. The energy flowing between them braced his legs, strengthened his arms. His rifle, glowing faintly with the same silver lines, felt lighter than air. The princess raised her hand, and he raised his rifle. Their movements matched perfectly, as if one body, one mind. When they fired together, the blast wasn't normal. It was fused human steel and alien light. The beam struck the sentinel square in the chest. It howled, staggering back for the first time. Cracks split across its stone-like body, silver fire pouring from the wounds. Ethan gasped, chest burning, but didn't fall. The princes leaned into him, their breaths ragged, their bond pulsing stronger with every beat. You see? She whispered. Together, stronger. He stared at her, sweat dripping, but he couldn't deny it. For the first time, he didn't feel like prey. He felt unstoppable. But the sentinel wasn't finished. Its eyes flared brighter, its massive frame trembling with fury. With a guttural roar, it lifted both hands, energy crackling across its arms. The princess's face went pale. It's summoning the collapse. If it brings the ruins down, everything will die. Ethan gritted his teeth. Then we end it now. They moved together, hearts pounding as one. Ethan pulled the trigger. She unleashed her energy, and the blast merged into a single devastating beam. It slammed into the sentinel's chest, tearing it apart in a blinding eruption of light. The roar faded. The giant crumbled, its body collapsing into shards of stone and silver dust. Silence returned. Ethan fell to one knee, panting, his body trembling from the bond. The princess knelt beside him, her hand still on his chest. Their eyes locked, closer than they had ever been. You trusted me, she whispered, her voice trembling. Ethan managed a weak grin. Didn't really have a choice. But deep down, he knew the truth. He had chosen. And it terrified him, because even now, even after the sentinel was gone, he didn't let go of her hand. The journey back to the alien capital was a blur. Ethan's legs barely carried him, his body aching from the bond. But the princess never let him fall. Every step, her hand held him steady. Yet the silence between them grew heavier with each mile. When the towering gates of her city appeared, Ethan's stomach clenched. Massive spires pierced the sky, glowing with alien fire. Guards lined the walls, their weapons fixed, their eyes full of suspicion. The princess walked tall, her silver hair flowing, her armor cracked but gleaming. Ethan, bloodied and weary, walked at her side like a shadow that didn't belong. The gates opened with a thunderous groan. Inside, an ocean of stairs awaited. Soldiers, nobles, citizens all whispering, pointing. A human had walked into the heart of the empire, alive, and beside him, their princess. Ethan caught fragments of their whispers. Enemy. Heretic. Bonded with a human? He felt the weight of every eye like knives in his back. At the end of the grand hall stood the council elders robed in dark colors, eyes sharp as blades. And at their center sat the High Sovereign, her father. His crown burned with faint light, his face carved from stone, every feature radiating authority. The princess bowed her head slightly. Father, the sovereign's voice boomed, shaking the chamber. You return, with an enemy in our midst. The princess's voice was steady, though Ethan saw the flicker of fear in her eyes. He is not an enemy. He is proof that humans are not what you believe. The council erupted in murmurs, some angry, some shocked. The sovereign raised a hand. And silence returned. His gaze fell on Ethan. "Step forward, human." Ethan's chest tightened. He had faced monsters, fire, even the Sentinel, but this stare was worse. Still, he stepped forward, refusing to bow. "You trespass in our world. You carry blood on your hands," the Sovereign said coldly. "Why should you live another moment?" Ethan's voice came out rough but strong. "Because I didn't come here to kill her. I came here to survive. And I'm still alive because she chose to save me." Gasps echoed across the chamber. All eyes turned to the princess. Her head rose, her silver gaze unflinching. "Yes, I saved him. I bonded with him. And I would do it again." The council exploded with outrage. Voices clashed like thunder. "Blasphemy! She betrayed us. The bond must be severed." The Sovereign's face darkened. His voice cut through the noise like a blade. "You shame our bloodline, daughter. You stand before your people, confessing loyalty to the enemy." The princess's jaw trembled. But she did not back down. "No, father, I stand for truth. He fought beside me. He bled for me. He saved me when your hunters would have let me die." "Is that the mark of an enemy?" Ethan felt his throat tighten. Her words struck deep. She was risking everything, her name, her throne, just to defend him. The Sovereign rose from his seat. His towering form radiated fury. "You forget your place. You are heir to this empire, and yet you throw it away for this creature?" His hand pointed at Ethan like a verdict. "The trial is decided. The human dies." Guards stepped forward instantly, weapons raised. Ethan lifted his rifle, his pulse racing. He knew he couldn't win, not here, not against all of them. But before he could act, the princess moved. She stepped in front of him, arms spread wide, her voice cutting like fire. "If he dies, then so do I." The hall froze. The council gasped. The guards halted. Even the Sovereign's eyes widened, just for a moment. The princess's voice wavered, but her words carried like steel. "You will not touch him. He is under my protection. If you spill his blood, you spill mine." Evan's heart pounded. His chest burned. In that moment, he realized this wasn't just politics. This was her life on the line. For him, the Sovereign's gaze shifted between them. The silence stretched unbearably long. Then, his voice, cold and deliberate. "Very well. The human lives for now, but the bond will be tested. Tomorrow at dawn, you will both face the ordeal. Survive it, and perhaps your words carry weight. Fail, and both your lives end." The chamber erupted again, voices clashing, but Ethan barely heard them. His eyes locked with the princess's. Her father had given them no trial of words, but a trial of survival. The dawn broke cold and silent. Ethan stood at the edge of the ordeal ground, a vast arena carved into black stone, surrounded by towering spires. Thousands of alien eyes watched from the seats above, their whispers cutting the air like knives. At the center, glowing runes blazed across the arena floor. The heat from them pulsed against Ethan's skin, as if the ground itself were alive. Beside him, the princess stood tall. Her silver hair shimmered in the early light, her jaw clenched. She looked every bit the heir to an empire, but her eyes, when they met his, were soft. "This is not just a trial," she whispered. "It is a trap. My father does not want proof. He wants us broken or dead." Ethan's hand tightened around his weapon. "Then we give him the opposite." A horn blared, the ground trembled. From the far gates, the first challenge emerged. Not hunters, not soldiers, but beasts, massive creatures, their hides armored in natural plates, their eyes burning like embers. Chains dragged behind them until they snapped free with a metallic scream. The crowd roared. Ethan's chest tightened. "You've got to be kidding me." The princess raised her hand, her bond with Ethan sparking to life once more. Silver light spread across their skin, their pulses sinking. The crowd gasped at the glow, the living proof of what they feared most. The beasts charged. Ethan fired, his shots burning against armored hides but not piercing deep enough. The first beast slammed its massive claw down, cracking the stone. Ethan dove aside, rolling just as dust filled his lungs. The princess unleashed a wave of energy, symbols on the arena floor flaring in answer. The beast staggered, but recovered too fast. "They're too strong alone." Ethan shouted. "Then not alone," she answered, grabbing his hand. Their bond flared brighter. For a heartbeat, Ethan felt her thoughts, her fear, her fire. His arms steadied, his aim sharpened, her energy guiding him. Together, they struck. The blast tore through the beast's chest. It collapsed with a ground-shaking thud. The crowd erupted, half in awe, half in fury. Another beast lunged. Ethan nearly fell, but the princess pulled him close, shielding him. With her energy, the second creature clawed at them, but they rolled as one, moving in sync, countering with another fused strike. The beast fell, the runes flaring brighter beneath its body. One by one, the challenges came. Beasts, traps, blades of light rising from the ground. Each time, their bond pulled them through two enemies moving like one soul, until the final gate opened. Silence fell. The last challenger stepped forward. Not a beast, not a machine, but the High Sovereign himself. Ethan's blood ran cold. The princess's breath caught. "Father." The sovereign descended into the arena, his presence heavy as thunder. His crown glowed, his armor forged with centuries of power. He drew a blade shimmering with dark fire. "This ends now," he said, his voice shaking the air. "Your bond dies here." The crowd hushed, waiting for blood. Ethan lifted his rifle, but his hands shook. This wasn't just a trial anymore, it was execution. The princess stepped forward, voice breaking. "Father, please," but the sovereign silenced her with one glare. "You betrayed your blood. You chose a human over your throne. There is no forgiveness." He lunged. Ethan barely blocked the strike, the impact rattling his bones. Sparks burst as rifle met blade. The sovereign's strength was overwhelming, pressing Ethan down like he was nothing. The princess screamed, rushing forward, unleashing her energy in a blinding wave. The sovereign staggered, but his blade cut through her light. He was too strong. Ethan's chest burned. His legs threatened to buckle. But the bond pulsed, pulling him upright, his heart pounding in rhythm with hers. He shouted through clenched teeth, "We're not enemies anymore." The sovereign roared back, "You will never be one of us." The blade swung again. Ethan blocked, the force nearly breaking his arms. The princess pressed against his back, her hands glowing, feeding him strength through the bond. Together they held the blade at bay, every muscle screaming. "Ethan," she whispered, her voice breaking. "This isn't about winning, it's about choosing." Her words struck like lightning. He realized it in that instant. The ordeal wasn't designed to test strength. It was designed to test loyalty. If he chose to fight for himself, they'd both die. If he chose her, he might damn himself forever. The sovereign's blade pressed closer, inches from Ethan's throat. The crowd leaned forward, breathless. Ethan made his choice. He let his rifle fall. And with both hands, he grabbed the princess's. Their bond flared so bright, the arena drowned in silver light. The sovereign's blade stopped. The runes on the floor erupted, spiraling up into the sky, ancient power answering their unity. The crowd gasped, shielding their eyes. When the light faded, the sovereign stood frozen, his blade shattered, his crown dimmed. He stared at them, not with rage this time, but with something Ethan had never thought possible. Fear. The crowd erupted into chaos, half cheering, half crying out in terror. Ethan stood, breathless, still holding the princess's hand. Their bond pulsed steady, unbroken. Stronger than ever, The princess turned to him, her silver eyes glistening. "You chose me." Ethan managed a tired smile. "Yeah, I guess I did." Above them, the Empire shook not from stone or beasts, but from change, asterisk,